What it do? It's crew. Hey man, listen, today I'm trying not to wake my mom up. It's 10 p.m. and I had to record this video. Dana White on the Nelk Boys podcast said that there's a super fight in the works that does not involve Conor McGregor. And you know me, I love Conor McGregor. You know yourself, mate. I fucking love the one, the only, the notorious. But the idea of a super fight that doesn't involve him is very intriguing to me. It's making me scratch my fucking head. And today I'm here with 5 proposals for super fights that could involve somebody other than Conor McGregor as a big name coming back to the UFC. I'm going to go from most realistic to least realistic, but it's also going to get more hyped as we go on in terms of holy shit, that would be insane to see. All right, boys. So let's get straight into it. Starting off in the welterweight division, there is a super fight that I think Dana White could be talking about. I thought, who's a free agent that could easily come back to the UFC and make a big fight? And you know what? And Nate Diaz is a scumbag, dude. The guy's a fucking dirtbag, man. The guy's a fucking scumbag, man. Calm as a mirror, man. Fuck Nate Diaz, man. The guy's a scumbag. I feel like this would be a huge fight. I feel like if UFC announced, hey, we got Nate Diaz coming back, he's fighting Dustin Poirier at welterweight, 5-round main event of UFC 300, would we be a little bit disappointed? Yes, this would be a sick co-main to 300, but the press conference would be amazing. Like I said, Dustin Poirier does not like Nate Diaz, and Nate Diaz would get on the press conference like, yeah, I don't even know what the fuck he's mad about, you know what I'm saying, but whatever, just what up, yeah, that's what's up. And the fight would be crazy too, the boxing of Poirier versus the boxing of Nate Diaz, the jiu-jitsu would match up quite well. I think this would be a really fun scrap. Definitely a big fight. Could be what Dana White is talking about. Most realistic, like easiest to make, but probably the least hype. Let's move on. All right, boys. If what I'm seeing is fucking true, Jesus Christ, dude. Listen, the next fight that I'm thinking might happen now, I'm going to jump the shark here a little bit, all right? I'm going to jump into a whole different realm, all right? There is a free agent professional boxer that is a heavyweight that is a very, very entertaining to watch and has also said he wants to fight in MMA, and I feel like this would be a huge Monday Night Wars type move for Dana White to stick it to the PFL, to stick it to Bellator. I reckon if UFC can make this happen, this would be insane. Tom Aspinall versus Deontay Wilder. Now, listen, don't click off the fucking video, dude. I know Wilder would get submitted immediately, right? Like, we know this. We know Deontay Wilder would get submitted immediately. But you could sell this to him on like, all right, let's do you versus Aspinall in MMA, and then you guys can fight in boxing, because Dana White will give Tom Aspinall what he wants, which is, he wants a boxing fight. He's not going to get to fight John Jones for a while. This is a good distraction, a good waste of time. This is going to build up Aspinall's name value as well. And for Deontay Wilder, this is a huge fight as well. Like, if he KOs Tom Aspinall in boxing, he's KOing the guy that potentially will beat John Jones. You know what I mean? So this is a win-win for both of these guys. Definitely not as much for Deontay Wilder. I'm going to be fucking real with you. But I feel like this would be an insane fight to get announced. Like, if you woke up and saw this on Instagram, you'd be like, bro, what the fuck is Dana doing? And Tom Aspinall would be on BT Sport. Deontay Wilder, he's a dangerous fighter. I actually asked for Vladimir Klitschko. I wanted to fight him instead first, just to get my feet wet. And then I wanted to fight Andy Ruiz Jr. I think that would have been a better fight for me to build myself up. But, I'm ready to take on the big scary power puncher. And I have to be very careful because he's a dangerous man. This would be a great fight, dude. So if this got announced, I feel like this would be more hyped than Poirier Diaz. Slightly less realistic, but possible, okay? Let's move on to another fight. Now, listen, boys. I got to cooking, dude. I'm a genius, right? I'm the best predictor on YouTube, the best matchmaker on YouTube, bar fucking none. Also, the best purple belt on YouTube of all time. Listen, boys. UFC is owned by TKO. So there is a potential for WWE and UFC crossovers, and I thought long and hard. I was like, Brock Lesnar, no, we can't bring him back. He's too old. And I thought, who has like connections to the UFC, who's competed in combat sports, who has a decent MMA kind of base, and who has a beef with a popular, exciting MMA fighter, Paulo Costa versus Logan Paul is UFC 300 main event. Let's fucking do it. Nah, I'm just kidding. But dude, this would be a sick like featured fight on UFC 300. This would be like a big money super fight that the UFC could make in terms of you're working with the WWE, so you can get Logan Paul. You can say, listen, dude, we'll borrow you after WrestleMania. We'll get you right before WrestleMania, maybe. And for Paulo Costa, this is a huge money fight, which is what he wants. It's a low competition, which is what he wants. And it's going to build up his name value so that if he wins it, when he wins this fight, he can call out Khamzat Chimaev, and it's on the biggest stage possible. And people go, you know what? Yeah, we do want to see Costa versus Chimaev. That's what we do want to see. And Logan Paul has no problem losing. This guy literally could not win a fucking fight that's not scripted if his life depended on it. The man is, barely got past Dylan Dennis, dude. Dylan fucking Dennis in boxing. So I think that this would be a huge money fight. It would build up Paulo Costa. It would rebuild his legacy. It would set up a huge fight with Khamzat Chimaev. Logan Paul would say yes to this. He is a crazy person. And yeah, dude, I think this would be a huge super fight. Let's move on. I've got 2 more left, and I thought, again, long and hard, pause. Trust, I'm not trying to make it sus, all right? Listen, dude, I'm not trying to make it sus like Among Us. Listen, trust, all right? I thought long and hard. What is a huge super fight, like a once-in-a-generation type fight that we could make right now? And I thought, all right, let me match up 2 old guys, right? 2 huge names that are old, that people are basically kind of saying, listen, these guys had their run. Their time is done. That's a bar right there. Trust. I'm spitting fire like I'm super hot. Trust. Again, Izzy's possessing me. I'm sorry, guys. But, dude, hear me out. UFC 300. Stipe Miocic versus Fedor Emelianenko. Fedor agreed to be in UFC 5, so he is on decent terms with Dana White, with the UFC, right? All he has to do is sign a 1-fight deal. He can fight Stipe Miocic because Stipe is going to have to wait for John Jones. We don't know when Jones will be back. So that's the reason with the Aspen fight. But also for Stipe, bro can just fucking fight Fedor, dude. He can fight Fedor. And then if Fedor wins, we can do Fedor versus John Jones. You know what I'm saying? I'm setting up legacy-defining fights here for the UFC. They're trying to give him an easy win in Stipe. Let's give him an even easier one in fucking Fedor, dude. I'm a genius. But no, all bullshit aside, I think Stipe would win this, but I think this would be such a huge, like, pinch-me type moment to see Stipe and Fedor across the cage from each other in that stare down. The 2 heavyweight goats facing off. Fedor fighting in the UFC. They're both pretty old as well. Like, it's not completely like a mismatch, to be honest. I think Stipe would clean up Fedor pretty easily, but at the same time, when you look at it on paper, it's not too bad. Like, it's really not as bad as saying, let's do Jones versus Fedor. Let's do Ngannou versus Fedor. Like, that would be ridiculous. But I think if there was ever a time to do Stipe versus Fedor, it's actually probably a good time to do it right now. And I think that is a genuine super fight, like holy shit moment type shit. So Fedor versus Stipe, take my fucking money. Last one I want to talk about. Again, we were going from most realistic to least realistic, but least hype to most hype. I think Fedor versus Stipe would be an insane announcement, would get me hyped as fuck, and not too like uncompetitive. I think it's still like, obviously Stipe would win, but it's not a like, bro, what the fuck is UFC doing, right? This is like, oh, that's a cool fight, right? Last one. This is a complete just fuck it, turned off salary cap, you know what I'm saying? Turned off trade logic type shit. Fuck it, dude. I'm going to take out George St. Pierre like the trash. Trust. I think this would be a crazy fight. I think if you woke up and saw Adesanya versus GSP announced for UFC 300, you would shit your fucking pants. You would literally be like, oh my God, like hell has frozen over. I think this would be the craziest thing the UFC could announce that's not Conor McGregor coming back. So I don't really know what else to say. Like, I just had to think, and I was like, bro, there's no other super fight you can make that's bigger than this, basically. That's not GSP fighting for the belt, because Strickland won't do that. So that's my thoughts. These are the super fights I would make if I was the UFC. These are my thoughts, my late night thoughts on what the super fight could be that doesn't involve Conor McGregor. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know if you think my mom woke up from me recording this video. I want to know all that stuff in the comments down below. Comment your favorite super fight and what you think the UFC is doing. And yeah, if you enjoyed these fights, if you think this is a good idea, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's hit 14K. And yeah, go follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Bedtime MMA. I will see you in the next video, boys. Goodbye.